Hey, welcome. This is a beginning process of taking the learning abilities with JavaScript collections and taking those that we normally see in an imperative level and making it into a declarative level. That is something that we're seeing more and more of every day. The reason I'm doing this is two factors. One is that I've told myself that I'm going to dedicate time towards learning how to teach and to do videos. And two is to work on this process of being able to talk through what it is that I am actually looking at and possibly coding. So this is the first of hopefully many. It's supposed to be 30 of them in 30 days. So we'll see what happens. But so if you're listening to me and I sound a little bit off or what have you, first day, rookie, just wanted to make that out there for you. What we're going to do is we're going to take code like this, and we are going to start at this level where we're having to not only tell the code what we want to do and how we're going to do it, and eventually get to a point to where we're going to just have it to where we are going to say what we want. No more how we're going to do it, any of that stuff. We don't all this. It's going to go away. So we'll get to that point, but I just want to go ahead and start this process by looking at this. And what I want to do is I want to just introduce, I'm using Visual Studio Code, is to go ahead and let's see, supposed to start on current file. Yeah, sorry. Oh, might just be that this isn't. Might just be that this isn't. Say it is a JavaScript file. This day one. The JavaScript. Let me see something here. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Let's start on current file. What do you mean it says? You get to go through the process with me of just make it a TypeScript file. So what is let's unexpected token. Um, let's just play around with this. Sorry. Let's move this down so we can actually see some code. So So what you're seeing here is that my abilities to actually be able to code and talk at the same time. Um, so here we're declaring a constant day one. So day one is a function. I'm not sure what's going on with this. Why it's console and everything. Well, anyways, I'm going to continue push through this. The good part about the um, with the Quokka, I think you call it, is the ability to be able to see the output for anything that you want to in real time as you're working. So um, so you can see right now, and once I execute it, once I call it, then you actually can see. So, anyways, so what we have here is we have a couple things that are happening. Is we have, let's just put some numbers here. Okay, so we have two things that we are responsible for maintaining, and maintaining is the big word here. This is that we have what and we have how. And so we are having to tell the code what we want, and we're having to tell the code how we want to do it. So this right here is what we're going to be going from to a point to where we no longer are going to have to tell the code how to do it. So this is just a starting point, but there's a couple tools that are going to be used through this process, and as I continue to try to work it, is the first one is actually the code itself here inside of Visual Studio, and then secondly, this is that we're going to take code and we're going to go over into pythontutor.com, and we are going to actually watch and visualize the execution of this. So we're going to take that same code and we're going to put it into here and make sure that we have from this drop down list ES6 selected, or you can do TypeScript, either one. But we're going to just go with this right now. We're going to go ahead and click on Visualize Execution. And once that comes and brings back the results, we're able to step through the code. So this particular code has 6 steps that we can go through. And over here on the right hand side, you're going to watch the actual code where it's at in that particular state and time of execution. So right now, we'll see that we have 2 lines that can be available. A green line, which is the line that will be executed, and the red line, which we're seeing right now, and that's the next line to execute. So what we're going to do is we're going to step forward and let's just test it out. Okay, so we stepped into the second of the 6 steps, and you'll see that the line that we just executed is in green, and now we're in red here, which will be next executed. On the right hand side over here, you'll see now that we do have a global frame. And in your global frame, you have a declared variable, whatever we want to call it. We've declared a name, I guess we'll call it. You can call it a name, you can call it a label, alias, but it's called array day 1. And that's what we have here. Now you'll see that what it's stored is that it is stored the whole function. So nothing in here has been touched. All it did was said, okay, you know what? I am going to declare the name array day 1, and then that's all I'm going to do. Now we're at our next line of code, and we're going to execute, and we're going to array day 1, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to invoke it. Now we know that we can invoke it because it's got the parentheses right afterwards. So let's go ahead and step to the third step. And now we go inside of array day 1. So now that we're inside of it, we'll notice that we have 3 names. So we've declared a name console, which we have right here as an input. We have names, and we have counter. Now at this point in time, because we have not done any other execution besides step inside of it, they're all undefined. So right now they're there, but there's no value to them. If we step forward, we'll now see that names actually points to an array. And that array has 4 spots with strings of names in each of those spots. Now we're going to go ahead and step to the 5th step. And in the 5th step, we now have the counter at 0. So we have not done anything yet. And now we go inside of there, and now we're going to go to the 6th step. And we have cannot read property log of undefined. So log is the console, and we have not done anything. Now, the reason that we're having some issues here, to be honest with you, is that I've taken this code from a course, or not necessarily a course, but this learning RxJS, and so it's in the browser. So there's obviously some things that we'll have to take away from here. So let's see something here. I don't know why. There's our problem. Okay, so because this was this was a step-by-step process in a browser, that's why we're having some problems. So let me edit this real quick. Didn't even look at that, and that's why I'm doing this, because I'm not very well versed at looking at my code before. Let's close this. All right, so now we have a big difference. Now instead of 6, because the 6 obviously was where it was going to go ahead and throw the error at us, we now have 21 steps. And we now actually have an output text area where it's going to actually show the console log for us. So we'll go again here, and we have the declared name array day 1 that we have in the global, which is the window, and it stores the whole object, the whole function, pardon me. We're now going to get ready to invoke array day 1, and we are going to know that we're doing so because we have the parentheses afterwards. And so now we jump inside, and at this point in time we have 2 names. Well, okay, so we have two labels. I have to call them labels here because we have one of the labels that's called names. So we have names and we have counter, and they're both set to undefined at this point in time, where we're at in the state of our execution. Jump forward again. This time we have names that points to an array in memory that's got 4 spots. Each of those spots have names of people that we are storing as strings. Now if we move forward again, we're now going to set the counter from undefined now to 0, we were doing right here. So now we're going to jump inside of the for loop, and it's going to console log names 0, which was Ben. And now if we go forward again, it's going to go back, and now the counter is at 1. So now when we go inside of it, we're going to look for names in here at the index of the counter, which is 1, which should console log Jafar. And there we have it. So again, now our counter is incremented up 1, so now we're at 2. And it's going to go through the same process to where now this time names, the counter is at 3, so it's going to look inside of names, and it's going to go to the 3rd index, and it's going to find the string Matt. And there we're going to log it out to the console. So we're going to just have a couple more steps. Same thing, counter increments up. We're now at the 3rd, and we get Priya. It's going to go through one more time. This time the counter is at 4. So at 4 we're at Brian, and it's the last index of this array. So this time when we go to the conditional check, it's going to be at counter, which is at 4. It's going to check and see if it's less than the name's length, which is 4, and it's not. So then it's going to be done. And then, so our result is that we were able to log out the names of each of the people that were within inside of the array that we had in the array of day 1. And that is the total process of the program that we have just built. So one thing that we want to take notice to is, let me just go back here, is that at this point in time, is that we have 21 steps that it took us to get through this. So on array day 1, where we're going to go from an imperative to the declarative process of constructing our arrays, we're going to see if we can't take this 21 of 21 and take it down to where there's less steps in order to be able to process this code. So this was the first of my tutorials, and feedback is welcomed on my talking, the volume, my teaching, constructive. You name it, you send it to me, you put it down below, and you might not have even gotten this far, but if you did, I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one tomorrow.